Hi everybody, it's Susan from Butts Bees, and I want to thank you for joining me. Today we're going to do a short little talk about the 8 must-have tools that a beekeeper should have. And I did a little blog post, so that's what this is, a follow-up. What is the 8 tools that you really should carry with you so that at any time you can do your inspection? And this is just a little bit about what that's about. Okay, so here we are. I'm in a very small apiary. I only have 2 hives here, and that is surrounded by some pine savanna, things like that. So 8 tools that you should know about, the 8 tools that you need for sure before you just go buying all the rest of the entire man-like catalog. So the first thing that I would say is that every beekeeper, old or new, should have is your veil. Your veil will protect your face. A lot of us go in without a veil, without gloves, without a suit. But if you are driving by your apiary and realize that, oh my gosh, what is that going on out there? You want to go and say, hey, I have what I need. Veil will always protect your face. The worst hits I've ever taken as far as stingers go is in my nose. It makes me cry. But there is a spot in your ear somewhere that can make you just drop down. It'll make you faint. So protect your head and always be prepared that, you're going to open up a hive that just may not be as sweet as you thought she was. On that same order is your gloves. There's a lot of times I went and I opened up a hive that I saw was, oh, she's just a sweetheart. And then as I'm working, she decides that today is the day she's stinging me. But this is also the day that I'm reversing, or I have to do whatever it is that I need to do. And if I don't have my gloves with me, my work is done. And that's not something that you want to happen when you're trying to prepare for queen rearing or your honey flow or just any inspection. And if you open up a hive that's queenless, more than likely she's going to be a lot more aggressive than what you had thought. So definitely have your gloves in your bag. You don't want to go without your gloves, at least in your kit. And of course, you want to have your handy dandy hive tool. Your handy dandy hive tool. Mine is a 5-in-1, and it's a paint tool. It works just as good as anything in the catalogs, and you can get it probably anywhere from $3 to $6 or $10, which that's up to you. But always have your hive tool. We do have pollen coming in today, which is really nice. I'm going to slip that in a little bit. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. Make sure you hit the little bell, get your notification. I really appreciate it. I'm going to be putting out a lot more videos and blog posts. If you don't know already, I'm a queen breeder, and I also do Nucs along with every other product of the hive on an Etsy and an e-commerce site. Check some of the links below. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on, Facebook. So that's pretty cool stuff. So let's move on. We've got our veil. We've got our gloves. It's a wonderful, secure feeling. Now we're in our hive. We used our hive tool to pry it apart. If you've ever tried to pry apart a hive without the proper tool, you know what I'm talking about. I think I've used early in my career a butter knife. It doesn't work. If your girls are propolis girls, which I hope they are, a butter knife's not going to work. And if anything, you're just going to make your hive angry by jostling them around. Get that hive tool out. And if you do choose to use like a pocket knife, make sure it's not something that will bend. It's got to be pretty, you know, sturdy knife. Okay, so one of the things my family love about me is that no matter where I am, I always have a queen cage with me, and that's because I don't like looking at a swarm and not thinking, oh my gosh, I can't do anything about that. Well, I always carry a queen cage. This is a shipping cage, so if you're a beginner beekeeper, you may get something like this when you got your package or things like that. Keep that. And this is where the fondant or candy goes. She goes in here. This is a G's Bees cage. It folds down and then it has an interlock that folds over the backside. But if you want to be able to contain that swarm queen and then therefore keep your swarm, it's something like that. Or you can use a queen catcher. This is like something that they used to use in like beauty parlor kind of things. And it opens and you don't have to touch the queen, even if you're, you know, like brand new. If you need to take that queen to the side because you're merging hives or against swarms, you can put her in here for very temporary nature. She won't stay in there long. The workers can crawl in and out, but that is a good thing for even beginners to keep around, so that in case they have a swarm or one of their neighbors and they want to try, you go in, you find the queen and put her in there and move your swarm. The difference being in this cage, if you can put her in there with a few workers and her candy, and then she can stay in there a few days. The clip is very much more temporary, but it's really, either one is nice to have in your kit, or like I have in my purse, or always in one of my pockets. I always have a cage. It's kind of like the old let's make a deal. I have everything in my purse. I can do it. This is my smoker. So in my blog post I put smoker. That's one of the 8 things. Right here I only have 7, but that's because my smoker is like total garbage. So if Man Lake wants to send me a new smoker, I'd take it, because sometimes I use a smoker, but for the most part I use a water bottle, sugar spray, or just plain water. And this is something that, again, if they come out to greet me and they're not in the mood for me to beekeep, they get a little spray and they go on to their own work. The smoker is my tool only for a very aggressive kind of colony that I have to get into and they won't let me in. So this is a burlap sack. The burlap sack can be used, this is in particular a rice bag, but one of the tools you should probably always have handy is a reducer. And a reducer will reduce that major size entrance to a smaller entrance. And in robbing, and or like some people have, I guess, problems with wasps, you can stuff your entrance. See, she just landed. She's got a lot of nice pollen on her. So it doesn't matter what you use as an entrance reducer. You can use grass as a reducer. You can use burlap as a reducer. You can use, I've used plastic bags in a pinch. Anything, and then of course they sell those small strips, and if you're handy with the woodworking, you can make your own. It's not that big a deal. So that's a pretty good thing. Always make sure you have a reducer, because if you have a rob going on, something crazy, you want to be able to tuck them in and make that entrance so small that they have something to defend. So that is what this is. But it doesn't have to be anything. It can be grass. I've used grass. Here I have a lot of Spanish moss. Spanish moss is really good because it allows that airflow. The plastic bag thing is only in a pinch because it does restrict airflow, and I really don't like that. And last but not least, oh no, that's not last. I always have to have my books with me. My notebook. Notebook is really important. Whether you are organized or not, that notebook can give you all that knowledge next year that you learned this year. Mine is a mead organizer. I don't know if you can see that. It's a mead organizer. And it has the calendar. It has plenty of places for all my notes, when I opened and things like that. What is the temperature? It's really interesting to watch the years go by. When does the bloom happen? What is blooming and what are you expecting in a week? So next year in a week, you're a week ahead of time. It's super good stuff. And so if you are using a smoker, one of the things that I have to say is I live in a pine savanna and we get really, really dry. And with the fires around the world, never want a beekeeper to be any of the problem so that people don't want you on their land. Let's make sure that we always carry water and really be careful with our smokers. One of the last thing I'm going to tell you about is just my water bottle. As beekeepers, we have to make sure we put out our smoker, and that's not all. When you're wearing all this equipment and you're doing work out in the hive and lifting 40 pounds at a pinch, you want to make sure you stay hydrated. And I think that's maybe a neglected part of beekeeping, is making sure the beekeeper stays healthy. We all want to live to 80, and I know that that's one of the reasons I don't mind being stung. And that hydration here in the South, I live in Mississippi, it can't be restated enough. You've got to stay hydrated out there, and then what you do have left over, make sure you use it to put out your smoker. So once again, we have some of the tools that you really need to have in your kit. You have your gloves. I'm going to put some links to some things down in below, but the gloves I got off of, I believe it was Amazon. You've got your veil, which I think mine is a man-like veil. You do or you don't have to wear this hat. You just have to have a hat where the veil will go over it. Your hive tool, so that you don't mess around and try to open something that you can't with the wrong tool. Never use the wrong tool. Try to get the right tool. A queen catcher. That's the queen catcher. She's in there temporarily. Queen cage. Save yours from your package or when you replace queens. You can always reuse them. Your handy dandy notebook, because you're going to take notes. Even if you're not really organized, you're going to take notes so that next year you can look back on this date and say, wow, I am a week away from a bloom. I better get started. Entrance reducer. Something is going to be used for an entrance reducer. It doesn't have to be a purchased one. You can use make-do materials, but make sure that there's no chemicals or crazy things on them. Your water bottle, that's for the beekeeper and for the beekeeper's smoker. And if you're not going to use a smoker, a spray bottle. It's also a nice way to deliver some essential oil if you're so inclined to do so, which I am. My little hives in this tiny little apiary are doing great. There they are. She was raring to go. I'll put a little clip of that. You see how big their pollen baskets are. There's pollen all over the cars. I know maple's starting to bloom, but I believe that the pollen dropping is also pine pollen. That's usually the one that just really saturates the air. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click the like button. Make sure you click on that subscribe and make sure you hit the bell. And we'll see you again soon. If you have comments, leave them down below. Check out the links. I'm going to leave links to some of the products, and I hope to see you all soon.